How's it going today? My name is Jarrod Spagnola. I'm the marketing director at John Owen Services.
And I'm Alex DePerrier, and I do in-home sales for HVAC equipment and in-home air quality.
Nice. Alex, I'm interested in getting some insulation for my home. What can you tell me about it?
So insulation is a great idea. It's kind of like the low-hanging fruit in efficiency. It's really one of the first things that should be done to increase efficiency and reduce your gas bills, basically, or electricity bills if you're going to electrify your house.
Yeah. How does the process work?
Well, it has to be done right. There's a lot of companies out there that we call it blow and go. They go in your attic and they just blow insulation on top of your old, deteriorated insulation that's up there already, and that insulation might have, rat feces and just dust from construction from over the years, and roof debris. When you change your roof, you see all kinds of junk up there. But the most important part is really sealing the attic. The insulation is great, but if air is moving through the insulation, it's really not going to do you much good.
Yeah, what does that cause? Is it like pushing air through your home? Is it pulling it from somewhere?
Yeah, so the attic gets really hot and the crawl space is cold. And so there's natural convection happening from the crawl space through your inner walls and inside your house to the attic.
Okay.
And you can see that a lot of times if you go in your house and it's the sun's out and you put your hand next to an outlet or a light switch. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you'll feel air coming through there, and that air is actually coming from an electrical wire coming through the bottom plate, and the hole is unsealed, and then it goes up and through the attic. In the attic there's another little hole for another wire, and the air is just being forced through there, just natural convection, cold air to hot air. And as it goes up, it also comes out of your light switches. So that's a very common area, and the easiest way to get rid of that is to take all of your old insulation that's not doing you any good, clean and disinfect the attic, and then seal every single penetration in your attic. So any holes where wires are in the walls, any lights, especially can lights, those are big culprits in air infiltration in your house. And once you seal all of that, you'll find that the air from the crawl space doesn't have that natural convection to go up. It'll still leak a little bit in the house, but it greatly reduces the infiltration of the air from the crawl space. And I got to tell you, crawl space air is nothing you want to be breathing, right?
Yeah,
if you've ever been down there, it's nasty air. It's all ground contact, and it's really, really harmful for your indoor air quality.
Is the building insulation enough for the building envelope to seal that air in, or do you need to do other things also with that?
Yeah, you've got to seal it with foam, and the blown-in insulation has no resistance to airflow at all. And in fact, it works best when air is not moving through it at all. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. And any holes you have that passes air through it, it really reduces the efficiency of that insulation. So in the old days, we didn't know a whole lot about these things, but now that we have thermal imagers and blower door tests, we can really, really quantify how much energy we're losing through all these little holes. And we also didn't have nearly as many can lights. Now you go into a house, you'll have 20 can lights in an average house.
Yeah.
That's a lot of air coming through those things. And all the air that goes up through the attic has to come in from somewhere else. And that's kind of the too many air changes brings in air. If it's air from the outside, that's a good thing, but if it's an air from the crawl space, that's not so good.
What exactly is an air change?
So an air change is how many times new air comes into the house in a given hour. Mm-hmm. From all of the leaks and everything. In a very modern house that's built to high standards, you'll have so very little air changes that you'll actually need to add filtration to the outside so that we can bring in fresh air from the outside. But in our standard houses here in Marin and Sonoma, they were built, to honestly very poor quality air sealing.
Yeah,
And-
so they're
and
basically just leaky buildings,
they're
right?
just basic, like a tent flap,
Yeah.
a tent with the flap open, right?
Yeah, a tent with the flap open.
A tent with a flap open. So even if you were to insulate the side of your tents,
Yep.
if you got the flap open, not doing you a whole lot of good, right?
This is very
Right?
true.
Yeah, so you've got to seal your house up. Now, we don't have to worry about not having enough air changes in most houses, you know, unless your house was built very recently to very high standards. Even most modern houses are not built that tight. You don't really have to worry about not having enough air changes.
Yeah. Typically leaking is the problem.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Awesome. So you think that in our homes we should be getting insulation first, in addition to the high efficiency equipment and duct sealing and window changes? Is that something that you can just mix and match these? Which one would you
Yes.
recommend, and
Well-
what order would you do?
I would do, you know, the first thing to do is to do a heat load calculation on the house.
Yes.
So you do a manual J heat load, heat loss and heat gain calc on the house. And then you can model what different types of insulation and air sealing would do for you. So if you're trying to, let's say, electrify your house and you're going from a 100,000 BTU furnace, which heated your house no problem, but now you want to go to a heat pump and the biggest heat pump I can get you is 60,000, you have to be more careful. If you want really high efficiency, you might see that you can go down a size of equipment by insulating and sealing your house,
Okay.
right? And this is just talking about efficiency, but there's also a whole health aspect to doing it, right? So sealing your ducts and sealing your attic, these are all things that will greatly improve your air quality in your house. You know, not having nasty air from your crawl space or air that's got contaminants and dust and fiberglass coming into your house from your attic, you know, does a big difference. And then duct
Yeah.
sealing has tremendous effect on air quality too, and we should talk about that in another podcast.
We
But
will.
just efficiency-wise, you know, what we want to do is save money on the size of the equipment, install the smallest unit we can, which is cheaper and will cost you less in the long run, and
Yep.
spend that money we're saving on improving
Efficiency.
the insulation and the air sealing in the house. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's some great advice.
So, you know, a typical process for us would be, we do the heat load, manual J, we calculate what we need. Then we would, let's say we replace or we seal the ductwork in the attic, if it's in the attic, we do all of that work first so that then the insulation company can come in and seal your house and insulate your house, and then nobody else goes up there to disturb it. So that part, it all really needs to be done, you know, as a part of one project, if we want to size the equipment correctly.
Okay.
You know, the other option is you don't do any insulation, you throw a big unit in there and you waste more electricity to heat your house. So the choice is kind of, you know, up to you, but
Yeah. That's great advice. Thank you so much.
yeah, thanks, my man.
Thank you.